Welcome back, Star Wars Newsnet channel. Paul, we are here for another. Let's call these the Star Wars month in review episodes, I guess now, because we get our 1 month, kind of the end of the month ish, reviewing everything. And I feel like for the next several months, these are going to be chunky, just meat on the bone. Like we're going to be pulling everything out here because there is so much to talk about from this month in Star Wars. If you would ask me a week ago as we were prepping for this, I was like, oh, there's a few nuggets here. And then all hell breaks loose in the Star Wars universe. So this is going to be exciting. I can't wait. I know that we are going to have some lively discussion this evening. And just from our last discussion, I think it's hilarious to look back that we clashed and we went back and forth on some projects that we think are what's going to be next, what's going to be upcoming. And it turns out we were both right in our own ways because you were like, the Kinberg thing's coming, man. It's going to be the next iteration of the saga. And I was like, I think it's down the line. Sure enough, boom, we get some news on that. And I was like, I think Sean Levy is here. It's arriving. Boom, here we go.
Boom, there you go.
We're taking the wins where we get them. So
Sure.
what do you want to talk about first? We have Andor trailers. We got Kathleen Kennedy news. We have movie news. There's so much to get into. What are you most excited for?
Okay, here's what I think we should do. We should save the Kennedy stuff for last, because it's probably going to take the most time, I'd say, right? So let's start with Andor, and I have a very specific reason why you'll understand in a second. Then we'll do movie news stuff, which kind of ties into Kathleen Kennedy, because kind of like it kind of you know what I mean. It kind of goes both ways. Right. So go ahead and start with Andor, because you'll see. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think this is gonna sound odd maybe to you. I really want to know what you thought of the music for the trailer, like before we even get into all of it, because when I watched it, I'm like, I know that Paul, he likes Andor fine, but he also is like, come on, guys, this is not the greatest thing ever. That's kind of your position for the most part. You think people are a little bit too much on the train. That I don't think it's not that you don't like Andor. It's that you feel very strongly that Star Wars doesn't need to be Andor very often in terms of that
exactly.
Tone, that
very often is a great. Yeah, that's a great thing for it.
With the music, I was very much like, Paul is either going to absolutely love this or he is going to be furious right now, and I'm thinking it's going to be the latter here.
Okay, so here's the deal. You'll be shocked to know, and maybe you know this about me already, but if those who don't know me nowadays, if you haven't been following my other podcasts like MC Fan Show or Saga Continues, I actually loathe trailers now. Like I loathe them.
Right.
Like any trailer. Yeah, exactly. So I actually didn't watch
trailers. Are you right? Like
no, I don't think I did. I think I watched like one, and I try to stay away from everything else. But yeah, so for Andor, I didn't watch it, but I did listen to a snippet of the song because I kept hearing about this song, and I was like, because again, I want to save myself for the trailer, right? Like I don't want to just be like, no, I want to save myself for the show. Excuse me, not the trailer, the show. Right. I listened to a snippet of the song, and I almost like vomited in my mouth. I couldn't believe how bad that was. I mean, we're talking. Listen, as a music person myself, and plays music and loves music, I definitely feel like Star Wars needs to like grow past John Williams. I feel like Ludwig was a great like bridge because he's brilliant. Like I think Ludwig's brilliant. Maybe one of the best contemporary composers out there. As far as I say contemporary, meaning like just guys current whatever, right? Or current hot off the presses because he's just he can do anything. I think. But and obviously Giacchino did a good job in Rogue One. Yada yada yada. But the thing is with rock music or any kind of music that's more contemporary, modern, you got to be really careful with that. And I feel like Acolyte dabbled its toe in it a little bit with that weird song at the end of one of the worst.
But that was an original too. Like that was an original.
Yeah, but even then, it's a contemporary thing, right? Like it's not
right.
Like I don't think that Star Wars should be that current, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Or if you do, you got to be really good about it. And I just don't
Mhm.
think they. And this song, it ain't doing it. It ain't doing it. So I'm sure I'm not alone. I think a lot of people are probably taking. Or I mean, what did you
Right.
think? Do you think it was good or bad?
It was jarring because it was not what I was expecting when I see the trailer, I click on it. That was the last thing I was expecting to hear from the start.
That's
But
fair.
I'll be honest, I kind of dug it because I think we were talking about this in our Discord, and it was they are so locked in and sure of what they have. I think they just said, screw it. Like, let's have some fun here. Let's get you like let's be crazy about this. Let's be weird because we know we have something absolutely just special cooking for season 2. It's I think it's going to win so many awards for them. This is going to be big, and I think they're just let's get weird with this. Now, just because that was their decision, not really sure it met the target audience they were hoping for, but
Yeah.
I also don't think that trailers for TV shows really mean much. Like, I don't think that they mean a whole lot. It's not like it's a movie trailer that is really important. I don't think anyone is really going to be that strongly moved either way to watch or not watch Andor based off of that trailer.
Okay. I'm gonna say I think I agree and disagree at the same time, which is a classic me thing. Because here's what I'm gonna say. I think you're right to an extent as far as what it's not gonna how much is a trailer gonna move a mainstream audience, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't think you're far off, but I think it to me it wasn't them being like we can get crazy with this because I don't think Disney's not that. First of all, Disney's not that brave, to be quite honest. I'm just being real. Um, the marketing people thought because to me, what's the biggest thing that Andor had a problem with when it was coming out that they had no audience.
Mhm.
But they had. I mean, you know what I mean. Like it didn't have the massive audience that like they all wanted. And what better way to like try to make it more like cutting edge to like, identify with more people than make it to put out, I mean, for lack of a better term, a modern like rock song to get people to be like, oh yeah, I'm getting pumped. It's like I think that's what the marketing people were trying to think of. Like, how can we connect with a more mainstream audience and let them know that this is not just your typical Star Wars thing. No, no, it's like it's got drama. It's like because I think people may have heard about
Mhm.
Andor and they see that and go, oh, it's something different. Like I feel again, I just my stupid marketing brain and the lack of or not a very good marketing brain, but I
Word of
think that
word of mouth for Andor is fantastic, for sure. I'm really
sure,
curious to see how this happens.
but I just think that it's not. Yeah, I think it was just Disney people who are clueless how to market Star Wars are just clueless, to be honest. I mean, it's amazing to me, Tyler, that we get like it's in marketing with anything, it feels like that people like just don't know how to sell things to people and like they pay these people in marketing like all this money and it like does it work? I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll say this. I think the marketing for Captain America, like you say what you want about that movie and the response to the second weekend. I think the marketing for that movie is actually pretty good, and I think
Mhm,
may have saved that movie like that first weekend. I think the marketing is a big catalyst for that, to be honest,
mhm.
because I thought the marketing was pretty damn good on
But
that
see,
movie.
but it's so different because that's a feature Marvel
No,
film
you're
versus,
right, but
a
I'm
more
just saying.
niche Star Wars show, because I would say that they marketed The Acolyte perfectly. Like, that was marketed.
I would agree
They
with that
had
too.
so much, and
You're
they
right. Yeah,
still, they couldn't bring in anyone. Streaming is so fickle, like, in terms of gathering that
yeah,
buzz, and it's just part of it's today's day and age in social media. It is easier than ever to become famous and to go viral and have everyone know about you, but at the same time it's incredible, it's more difficult to sustain uh
yeah.
that popularity. So it's about striking when it's right. I think that Andor is going to benefit from the word of mouth, but I don't expect this show to do great numbers
I agree.
overall. They're in this for the prestige factor. They're hoping that the scale of this show gets them, a nice foot in the door at the Emmys, and they have a really good showing. And I think
Well,
that's what this is all about. And
well,
that's
well
we saw that in the trailer trying to get people in. Critically, like every, 10 seconds, it felt like they had, some words up there that was, critically acclaimed.
10 out of
Critics
10.
are raving.
Yeah.
Everyone says this is, Star Wars at its finest. Things like that, because that's what they're hoping. That's what
Yeah,
they're
I mean, that's what
building
they
the
have to
show on.
market on.
Mhm.
That's all they have right now because that's the pizzazz. Because the fan base in general are not us or not. I shouldn't say us. I'd say the mainstream fan base just is not
Mhm.
hot on it. So they gotta,
Right.
sell it to them. And that's the right thing to do. The one thing I'm gonna say, don't forget, Tyler, that
Mhm.
they greenlit this before season
Mhm.
one
Yep.
results. We talked about
Mhm.
that before. So like it's they were married to this regardless.
Mhm.
So it's not like they had they made season 2 and they were stoked on it. Like they had no choice. I think, to be honest, if they didn't green light this before, there's no way in hell we get season 2, in
I
my
I
opinion.
I would disagree a little bit
Bro,
because
how much money? Hold on. How much
Mhm.
money did it cost? So much money to make
Right.
season 2. So
Mhm.
much money. So much money.
But we've
Wait,
seen
they
plenty of situations where studios y will scrap projects even after they're completely finished, where in order to get that tax break, where they will, in Disney's situation, take something completely off the platform in order to save a buck.
Willow.
Like, they could have, yeah, Willow, like, they could have saved a buck if they really wanted to, but I think that they understand that
Well, Star Wars
in the
has some
streaming
return.
battle, like, Star Wars
Yeah,
has some return, but
yeah.
also having a show on there that you can platform your product with, Emmy
For
award
home.
winning show, critically acclaimed show to go along with everything else. It diversifies your portfolio. It might attract those people who strictly want to watch HBO Max or are your Netflix subscribers to come over and watch something that's a little different.
How about this? I want the people in the comment section and I want people to be real. Like
Mhm,
maybe I'm wrong, but if you're
mhm,
watching this, I want you all to comment and I want you all to say, do you think, because I think both, you can make a case for both sides,
mhm,
to be honest,
mhm.
right? But there's no way in hell I think they green light a season 2 if season 1 is not, if they don't already have it already like
Right.
predisposed, like because they were, I want to say
I
they
mean, it's
weren't they like
fair.
filming, were they filming it like in season
I
1?
don't I don't wanna say either way because I don't remember exactly how it all went
Either
because it was
way,
such a murky time with COVID, the
right,
strikes
right.
happening after, like, there was so much going on. I will say too that I think they were committed to this one because of how much respect they have also for Tony Gilroy and, Rogue One in general, but also if even all of that considered, a commitment to a really good story, just being committed to that and hoping that maybe not
Yeah,
immediately, but in the long run, like playing the long game, that you'll be able to earn benefits from this. And we've
Tyler, I
disagreed
just
on
don't
this.
believe
I,
it.
I'm
I
telling
just
you,
don't believe it.
if this thing wins like an
That's an
Emmy for
idealist.
best
That's an
drama,
idealist
they're
mentality.
fine.
He's
But
an
if I'm
idealist,
just
son,
telling you, if
brother.
this thing wins an Emmy for best drama next year, and the only people that watch it are me and you, they're gonna be popping champagne bottles because of the prestige that comes with having,
You
those awards.
I think you're right to an extent. I just don't know how much they care because they want the bottom line, and the bottom
Mhm,
line is getting people to watch and keep subscribing to Disney Plus.
mhm,
And we'll
mhm.
see. We'll see. I
And
mean,
I
like
and I think prestige level helps with that, with
to an
attracting new
to an
subscribers.
extent.
Well, if they're churning a profit already, like they say they are, and now
Well,
you can add in some of that prestige factor like you're getting from something
you're
like Andor. I
we'll
think it
see.
it they need to round out their platform
Yes.
because if you're not a Marvel fan and you're not a traditional Star Wars fan, there's just not a lot out there for you. Now they have like the Hulu merger that's, Hulu's now available on Disney
That's
Plus,
brilliant.
FX is gonna be
That was
on there.
brilliant.
That's gonna help a lot as well.
Oh, for
But
sure.
I'm curious to see. So you didn't watch anything with the trailer?
No.
So you're
I
going
saw I
blind.
saw clips like people like post
Well,
still. That's enough for
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
I'm good. I saw
Mhm.
K2. That's
Okay.
awesome. I mean, I'm stoked. I mean, they're gonna retcon that awful comic. Oh, a comic is so bad.
I'm
So
really curious
bad.
to see how far they go because I don't think that they're gonna fully just do away with it, but I
I
think
agree
they
with you on that.
will.
Yeah.
They'll tweak some things here or there. We
We talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this before, but I think we have. But it's like with the canon, it's not about again. It's not about like um doing things differently. It's gonna piss everyone off. It's just like how can you tweak it a little bit to like still make it the comic exist in the
Mhm.
same like
Right.
it's like Kanan comic book and the Bad Batch show. Like the Bad
Right.
Batch not in the comic book, but
Mhm.
in the end, it the detail like the details are different, but the main
Right.
thing in the Ahsoka that everything is the
Ahsoka
same.
novel for sure.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
like the major plot points are all there. The
Mhm.
details are murky, they're
Mhm.
different. No one cares about the details necessarily.
Mhm.
It's more about the main thing, like
Similar
right?
questions with Dark Disciple coming up when Asajj
Yeah,
came back in Bad Batch, things like that. So
yeah,
I K2, great. I've been saying this and I gushed about this Thursday was I cannot wait for just Krennic act like Krennic versus Mon Mothma, Krennic versus Deidre Miro, Krennic hopefully talking with Andy Serkis's character Kino Loy in season 2. Like I really want to watch him parade around and be the diva that he is. I just cannot wait
it's
for
even weird to
Ben
have
Mendelsohn to be back.
Krennic's gonna look older or younger, which is gonna be funny.
I can't this show, I'm telling you right now, given the tumultuous year that
Yeah,
Star Wars had last year, and when we think about as well, the last several shows, most of them I felt a little disappointed, like at
yeah,
the end. I when it came to like Mando
yeah.
season 3 was disappointing, and Acolyte was definitely disappointing. Skeleton Crew, I was fine with. Ahsoka, I was very disappointed in the ending, like execution down the stretch. I
I
was really
rewatched
excited
Ahsoka.
early on.
It's so
Mhm.
good. Ahsoka rips, dude. Ahsoka
I
rips.
love it. It doesn't hit for me at the end. There was just some things that happened down the stretch
It hit
that
better for me the
really
second time I watched it.
okay.
It hit me better this time. I agree
I
with
felt
you
like
the
they
first
stretched
time.
it out too much.
I think but I think that's all the shows for the most
Mhm.
part. I mean,
It's
dude, honestly, like, if you're telling me Skeleton Crew was a compressed, condensed, tight storytelling, that movie wouldn't have like made a crap load of money at this point. I think it
right.
would have. It looks
Mhm.
so good. I mean, I could totally see that movie doing pretty well,
Mhm.
you know? So I mean,
I just
if
I don't no knock against Skeleton Crew. I don't even think of it in the same vein as some of the others. Like it just exists for me. And I not to diminish those that were involved in it. Like I loved I saw some of those kids at MegaCon last week that were in the show, and that was really cool to see them talking and sharing their experiences. Jude Law is fantastic. I just think that the show there's just a certain and some of this is existing with Star Wars projects recently. There's like a certain quality, there's a certain depth that's just missing from some of the episodes that exist
mm,
down the stretch. Like that was my thing with Ahsoka was we left Balin Skull and Shin completely the last couple of episodes to force more Thrawn versus whoever action. And it felt like none of those like villain arcs really got what they deserved. And I felt like that with Skeleton Crew, some things, they didn't move it along as much as they should have, and then
the
the
last
the
episode was
end
weird.
always
It was probably the weakest,
mhm.
despite having amazing B wings in it. That was
But I
incredible.
have but I have no doubts that Andor is going to flesh out everything because I know that we're gonna get 12
Yeah.
episodes with 40 minutes plus every single time, and I'm not gonna feel shortchanged by anything that happens.
I'm going to, there's a lot of Andor I like. I actually I still like Andor. I think it's one of the better series, but it's not like peak Star Wars either, in my
Mhm.
opinion. I still
Are
think
you
it's so
excited about the arc drops? So they're doing 3, episodes a
yes.
week for 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Mhm,
that's smart because
mhm,
um in fact, I think they should go a step further. I've said this before. They should make it a mini movie.
mhm.
Like just make it one movie. Because why segment it out? Just make it a movie, like have it be a sit down like thing.
Just have
That,
like 4, like just
yeah,
hour and a half, like no
yeah,
episodes,
yeah.
just
No, no,
4
no.
parts.
Don't give me like I don't need a freaking like intro. Like I
Mhm.
wish because I think it flows better as a movie. I think it flows better as a film, personally, because you kind of like I don't know. It's like you sit down, you forget episodes. I mean, whatever. I mean,
Right.
but I mean, but it sounds like we should probably move on. But before we do, I want you give your take on the trailer. Well, what's your take?
So Star Wars, I think, does trailers better than all the other IPs for the most part in general throughout the last decade.
Yeah.
And there have been times I've been a little frustrated that they've shown a little too much with, let's say like for instance, Brave New World show. I felt like I was ahead of that movie the whole time and didn't like seeing the trailer hurt that me in that movie. I think same thing a lot of with Thunderbolts, I'm feeling the same
Oh,
way.
Thunderbolts looks so good. I cannot
I'm
wait for
excited.
Thunderbolts.
I'm excited for that. But with Andor and Star Wars does this so well is they show me so much, but they really don't show me anything at all. They in the trailer, every single action shot or clip, those are all things I knew were going to happen. Saw Gerrera being intense with one of his freedom fighters. Orson Krennic standing with the Death Star being constructed in front of him. Mon Mothma in some sort of elaborate, dress. Definitely going to be like her daughter's like marriage or betrothal event, engagement party to Davos Golden's son that she's going to have to, make happen. Like all of those are things that we leave season
Yeah,
one
make it happen.
like those are all things season one we know are going to happen. Like we know that this is all what this is leading towards. Bix is going to join the fight. Brasso's going to join the fight. Like
Oof,
I that and
hard
so
eyes on
there's
Bix.
nothing. Oh yeah. So there's nothing in the trailer that goes, crap, why'd you have to drop that in there? Like, I don't need
Yeah.
to see that scene. And so
Okay,
that's what I
too.
love about Star Wars is that the things that I saw get me really excited. Oh my goodness, this action shot here. But I couldn't tell you what's happening when. And this is a show. That's what I appreciated about season one is I never felt ahead of the show, even though I know how this all ends in Rogue One. Like I didn't feel I was eagerly anticipating the next episode to see how this
Mhm.
arc would be resolved. And I know that some of these characters make it out. I know some of them definitely will not. But the show really hits on everything that excites me about what modern like Star
Yeah.
Wars can be. And
Yeah.
the trailer does a great job of that. So overall, solid trailer, gets me excited, shows
Okay.
me absolutely nothing. That's what I want from a trailer.
All right. Well, and you got a terrible song on it, so I mean, you're good to go.
Terrible song on it, so I'm great. Yes,
You
that's what
like
I
the
need.
song you said though.
No, I actually dug the song. I was pretty yeah.
Okay.
I was saying jarring the first time, but I'm easy to please when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I don't need for me if it's a movie trailer, I would be maybe a little more offended. This is a streaming show
Dude,
that's already gone on for a season.
word.
It's whatever.
If they pull that on a movie in the future, I will lose
Right.
my mind. I
Like
will
if
lose
Mando
it.
Star Wars Celebration in a couple months. If Mando and Grogu trailer comes out and there's some sort of rock song that we can find on my Apple Music, Spotify, like that's in the thing, I will be a little bit more what the heck is going on
If I hear
because this is a
AC/DC or something like
feature
that on
film.
Star Wars, I will literally like burn. I will burn Disney down to the ground. So
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
well,
I would never do that, but I'd want to.
you could fly down here to Orlando. I could tell you a few places to start.
I don't know if I'll ever go back to Florida, to be honest. No offense.
Couldn't-
No,
What
no
if
offense.
what if
No offense.
what if Anaheim, burned to the ground or something,
Yeah,
and
maybe I would.
uh,
Yeah, maybe I
and
would.
then Star Wars like celebration for the 50th was in
Ty-
Orlando because
Tyler,
that's the other Disney headquarters.
you may not be far off from being burned to the ground, to be quite honest.
Oh my gosh, I did
We
not
no,
I was not even
you
thinking
are
this.
maybe hope. I don't want to say it, but you may not be far off from
Oh my gosh,
this. Anyway,
there's
we
oh
digress. We
man,
digress.
so much going on.
Yeah.
So, oh goodness. So, what do you want to get into next? Do you want to get into Star Wars Celebration, or
Well,
do
I
you want to
mean,
go?
I think we should just. I think honestly, we should spend the rest of our time focusing on because we got the precursor movie news
Mhm.
that was like, hmm, and then we got the Kathleen Kennedy bombshell, which I think I could spend like hours talking about. To be honest, I think we should use that to lead into Kathleen Kennedy.
Right. So Kathleen Kennedy, it's all up in the air this week because everyone was having their own opinion and their own story. But essentially, Kathleen Kennedy, within the year, is they're going to announce the succession plan for her leaving her role as president. And there are a number of opinions and thoughts out there of what the succession plan is and looks like. It seems pretty clear cut to me. It's going to be Filoni plus someone else that comes in, and they, similarly to a lot of people like to point out, like the James Gunn, what the situation over there with Warner Brothers, where he gets to handle the creative side, Safran gets to handle the executive side. I think that's what we're going to see here with Kennedy. Filoni's probably going to take over. Right now, my gut says Carrie Beck is going to take over as the executive side. I'm really curious what your thoughts are on the two of them possibly tag teaming, or especially Filoni stepping into this more president, CEO type role, because personally, I don't want him in that role unless he's strictly creatively involved. Because to me, if he's now president of the company, it means he's making, less movies. He's involved less in the writing of some of these Star Wars projects. He's focusing less on the creative aspect and having to handle budgeting, helping with the marketing team, getting people signed on for these different films, being an executive. And I would rather him be able to focus on the creative side. I think he would rather focus on the creative side. I think he's perfect for the role he has now as chief, creative officer. So if he is going to step into this president of Lucasfilm role, I really do hope that he has someone there to handle, the business side of things, and he can just kind of stay in this creative bubble for himself.
There's a lot to talk about on this. First of all, I want to say that I thought it was hilarious that Kathleen getting stepping down, whatever you want to call it, got leaked, and she had to go out and damage control, basically, which I thought was fascinating. Because I didn't think that was going to happen.
And drop the nuggets that she dropped, probably to
and we'll get into those,
show a sign of strength.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things here, and I think again, I don't want to toot my own horn here or our horn here, Tyler, but I'm almost did we talk about this? Because I even said I want to say getting Kinberg on board and doing this whole thing is a sign of like I got to get stuff done, like get stuff like ready to go. And maybe we
talked specifically. We said it. We talked about it, and we said that we felt like sooner rather than later we would hear something about it. This is essentially what we talked about last
month about Kathleen Kennedy, though, right? Because of what she was.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, because it felt very much like I have to get things in order, like, and that's definitely what I got from it with Sean Levy. With and the fact you got they're still trying to push this Rey film, that's a whole different podcast, and that feels like it's gone at this point.
I don't think so.
Well,
I don't think we should be concerned about it. Right? I'll be honest.
I mean,
we can talk about it later, but
we'll talk about it later. Maybe a different show. Save it for a different show. But the thing is that it felt very much like I gotta line things up because and it just feels odd to me. And here's a couple other things to think about this too. You have Filoni's new role that happened. That is, I mean, it's a pretty big title. And that's all. Is that all coincidence? I don't know. I mean, the fact
it's not at all.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like there is, let me start with Kathleen Kennedy. First of all, I was thinking about this today while I was exercising, and when I knew I was going to do the show. Excuse me. And I thought, Kathleen Kennedy, in my opinion, straight up, I'm being 100% honest here with y'all, it's down the middle of like success for Star Wars.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's not great. It's just down the middle. It's like, it's just a steady, if I'm looking objectively of everything,
Hmm.
because you can look one way of financially, she's been very successful, right? Like
Hmm.
she's done her job on that front.
Right.
I also have to look at what she's done to the brand, and she's helped damage that brand straight
Hmm.
up. Like I just got to be real. Like I'm not. I
For
don't.
every massive success that you can point to, you can point to a failure on the company as well. Like there
It,
are, and that's being
right.
fair. That's just
And
being fair.
yeah, and I think, and again, it's not because I think I hate her, because I think she's a great producer. She's a producer,
He's a legendary.
and yeah, she's legendary. She's an icon for that stuff,
Mhm.
right? I mean, but the thing is, you have to remember, and I don't want to bring Last Jedi up in a negative way for people who love it, but in a
Oh, you
vacuum,
do. You just don't act like you don't want to. You know
no,
it's
but,
you know
no,
you want
but listen to me. Listen,
to.
in a vacuum, and of so many different ways, The Last Jedi is a success, is a giant success. If you look at it in a vacuum, but the legacy of that movie, whether you like it or not, there is a fallout from that, and it is definitely, in my opinion, damaged and fractured the brand because it fractured the fan base. Straight up, like you
Mhm.
can't. I think that's on her and Ryan Johnson,
So
but like,
I
but
dis
that's
I agree with you to the very end of the point, because the
that's
Star
fine.
Wars fan base is always all over the place, and I will say
Sure,
that it was divisive. But I think what really hurt the brand was the fact that after The Last Jedi, as a company, I think they just lost all confidence and they were not sure of themselves. They couldn't figure out what story they wanted to go with. They couldn't figure out what direction to
and
move in
that's her
next.
fault.
And
That's
and
on
that is
her.
your fault. So I
Yeah,
because I think that if you push forward as you were planning with being bold in your choices for stories and sticking with what you plan, if you just stay
well, they didn't
united,
have
you
a good
probably
plan.
don't have you well you well, I mean in general, like you think of
Yeah,
like
I know what you mean. I know what you meant. Yeah, yeah,
with all the other movies and things that they were
yeah.
coming out. I think they just second guessed themselves across the board, from feature films to shows, to upcoming projects they were wanting. And at that point, that's when we started hearing all of the chaos starting to ensue around Lucasfilm. And I think The Last Jedi, yes, was the breaking point. I think the fandom, is going to do what it does, and it's going to recover if they came in with a unified vision. But the fact
Yeah.
that now you were just giving people, more fuel to the fire by not being able to recover as a company from that.
Well, listen, and I want to do. I only mention that because I do feel that is a that's part of her legacy. Unfortunately, is
Mhm.
that she brought in right. She was brilliant to bring in JJ, and brilliant of letting him dictate the story, because you can't, in a vacuum. The Force Awakens is a good fun movie, and it made
Mhm.
$1 billion, like 2 billion jillion
Right.
dollars. So I mean, you can't deny that. When you look at, its legacy by itself afterwards was huge. It revitalized the brand, like to a height that I almost didn't think was possible.
Mhm. Oh,
And then,
100%.
but the thing is, with Ryan Johnson, she chose it, and she went away of like, well, I've got to keep this going. It's like the problem with Kathleen Kennedy for me has always been, she's not, which her appointment of Lucasfilm has always been odd to me, because here's the deal. She's a producer. She's not an executive. And people got to remember that she runs Lucasfilm, but it's more of like, she runs it from a perspective of, I'm producing movies and I'm giving green lights on things.
Mhm.
She's not like an executive CEO traditionally, because someone else does all that. Like that's
Mhm.
someone else's job. She doesn't do that stuff. She gives, like, obviously green lights on things in, certain aspects, sure, but she's a producer. That's what she does. That's all she did. She focused on making big productions and, obviously doing all that stuff. All the other actual CEO things was all somebody else. So keep that in mind when they plan a successor, is that whoever they get, people think like Filoni couldn't do that. It's like, well, Kathleen Kennedy didn't really do it either. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, she's a producer.
Well,
That's all she.
the problem with Filoni that I have in this stepping into a possible role is,
I wasn't there
we,
yet.
we,
But
we
I just was
okay,
throwing it out
okay,
there as an example.
yeah.
I just
I
was throwing it
just
out there because
wonder. Mhm.
Yeah, well, because again,
Mhm.
Kathleen Kennedy is not doing a traditional CEO role. Just like
Mhm.
Kevin Feige is not doing a traditional, like he's heading up.
Mhm.
He's a different story altogether, but he's not heading up, like he's not running a
Dude needs
company.
vacation.
Yeah, it's what her role is because that's what George gave her
Mhm.
when he left.
Right.
But let's like George wasn't making like those like he had someone doing all the nitty gritty stuff that a
Right.
CEO has to do traditionally is not doing. They're not doing that.
Right.
He's like Kathleen Kennedy was in charge of basically her role. Her main focus was making productions and making greenlighting them, making sure they're on time. Yada. Again, she's a glorified producer. Again, this is not a detriment. I'm not saying this is a negative thing. It's being real. And so when you look at that perspective, all her moves are based upon a producer mindset. And I think the problem is you need to have George was a producer. He that's what his role was at that point, but he also was a creative person. Whether you
Mhm.
agree to his creative decisions or not, it remains to be, whatever. But he always had a creative backdrop that fueled him. There's nothing, and again, no disrespect to Kathleen Kennedy. There's nothing creative about her. She is fully a I'm gonna get the wheels run. And again, that is incredibly you have to have people like
Mhm.
that. And the reason why she made it her name is that she's an amazing producer, got things
Mhm.
done, could get people together and get things done and do it very, 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 very well and give the creative people the necessary things they need to make their films. And she is brilliant at that. And that's why she was in her role at the first place. And that's why you feel confident when she was like did not leave JJ alone, when she got a Ryan Johnson or got Trevorrow on and then didn't make it work and was like, I gotta pivot. You know,
Mhm.
she like she is she knows how to make the wheels run. But that's why it's down the middle for me because she's creative. She's not creative enough to really understand what Star Wars needs. And that's the
Mhm.
problem that Star Wars has been having, I would say, besides the Mandalorian, which she kind of fell into, to be quite honest. Let's be real. Favreau, she was smart. I mean, she kind of takes, it feels like she takes more credit for that relationship than probably she should, to be honest. Maybe it seems like it's weird,
Mhm.
but I would say that she was very lucky to have Mando because without Mando, it would be a failure straight
But
up.
who gets to decide what Star Wars needs? Because George, people want to say that George Lucas this, George Lucas that. George Lucas gave us Star Wars, and most people said this is not Star Wars and what Star
Yeah,
Wars needs.
you're
And
right.
now we're
You're
20
right.
years removed from Revenge of the Sith here in a couple months, and I'll tell you what, it's probably going to make a lot of money being in theaters for a week because people are going to be so excited to
Can
go
I
back.
can I say about theater? So for the record, I was critical of George in the prequel trilogy, right? But I want to throw it back to you in a second. About Revenge of the Sith specifically,
Yeah.
I love that movie so goddamn much when it came out. Tyler, I was probably your age. I was
Mhm.
younger than you when it came out, for God's sakes. Uh, I saw Revenge of the Sith in the theater at least 8 times. I mean, that movie is like
That was me with Force Awakens.
give. I mean, I saw Force Awakens like 6 times. I saw a lot
Yeah.
too, but Revenge of the Sith. I saw Revenge of the Sith is Star Wars on steroids in the best possible way. It's amazing. I love that movie, and I will push back because George he fumbled with Phantom Menace, recovered a little bit with Attack of the Clones, and then got it right with Revenge of the Sith because everyone said, "Oh, okay, Revenge of the Sith. I like the prequel trilogy, but Revenge of the Sith is really good." Like everyone said that, and then but anyway, but you're not wrong about what you're saying either. But I didn't mean I don't. I just
So,
wanted to
I
go.
just I just don't know what Star Wars needs, this, that. I just wonder, take James Mangold, for instance, coming into his role with Dawn of the Jedi. Is James Mangold,
Cool.
who's nominated for an Academy Award in, recording this on a Friday night
Yeah,
in 2 days. Is he taking notes from Dave Filoni on how to make his
he
movie?
should if he's
He's not.
smart,
He's not
but he
taking
ain't
notes from
smart.
Dave Filoni. No, there's James Mangold's a smart dude. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
because
if
he's
you
not
get
smart.
big time, no, if you get big time filmmakers to come in, they're gonna take notes on how to make their movie from a guy who's never done anything with a live action film. Like he's never directed, he's never produced. Kathleen Kennedy, at least, if she's giving direction as the head of the company, you have to listen to Kathleen Kennedy, given her track record, given her background. Dave Filoni. I feel like they're gonna look at him. This is the Star Wars nerd. Yes, he's the guy that George Lucas worked with George and all this. But in terms of how to create a movie, like I'm not sure they're taking notes from Dave outside of hey, the X wings, lock those S foils on attack position like this instead of like that.
You know what? I think you're giving Filoni a lot of flack for something that I don't think Filoni would ever do. First of all, and I think
Mhm,
that here's the problem. I think what you're talking about is actually the why I think Kathleen Kennedy is failing, because she's picking people like from a producer mindset,
mhm,
and she needs like that's what Star Wars doesn't need right now.
mhm,
Because to me, what you need is vision and grab and listen.
mhm.
I think
That's
Mangold's
fair.
he's a great director. I rip on him because he's just said some stupid things recently where I'm just like, shut the hell up. Like, just shut up. Like he makes a comment like, well, I don't like these. Well, he made a comment about something like big budget movies or something. He's made a weird. I was like, what the hell? He's like, you're making Star Wars and you're trying to make a DC movie too. Shut up. Like, just shut up. Like, and and I guess I Walk the Line. I love Walk the Line. It's a great movie, and he's like I said, he's a good director. Do I think that the Dawn of the Jedi is gonna be made by him? No, especially with Kathleen Kennedy bailing out, and the fact that this guy has barely done anything, like with and I mean, I haven't seen Dial of Destiny. I've heard it's not terrible. It's not great. If whatever
Mhm.
I own it on 4K, I need to watch it. But the problem is back to Kennedy. You're getting people like Mangold, like Ryan Johnson, J.J. Abrams. That's not exactly, I think, the bread and butter of Star Wars. You need vision, and what I would say was Mangold would be smart to listen to Filoni because Mangold is not someone who understands the brand and understands what it means to write in the mythology of Star Wars. You want to see someone who understands Star Wars. Look at the special features on the Clone Wars. And I'm going to say this right
This
now.
is Clone Wars. How many Star Wars
Hold
movies
on,
have come out and
sir.
fans have been like, "Hey,
Sir,
yeah, this is
let me
good."
cook.
Like,
Let
come
me
on.
cook. Let me cook. All right. I've got the stir fry or whatever it is, and I'm right in front. Listen. Let me cook. And yes, the thing is, I'm only using it in Star Wars as Clone Wars
Mhm,
as an example of how it should be run. Because here's the deal: when you watch the Clone Wars, you see how it's George, and he's got a
mhm,
bunch of writers, right? And it's a story group, right? A story group for
mhm,
Clone Wars.
mhm,
One section, right? Look at the High Republic. It's a story group, one section of story writers where you have Charles Soule, Ireland,
mhm,
Gray, whatever. Again, take out, don't look, the results will vary. Your
mhm.
opinion, whatever. I know it's a cartoon, whatever, but bear with me a minute. What you have is George overlooking one person, Filoni, and all these different writers, and
Mhm.
they all know the parameters of what they need to write it. And then what is the Clone Wars now? One of the most beloved, it's in the prequel trilogy, everyone would say has watched it. And reason why people didn't give it a chance back in the day is because one, it was the prequel
Because
trilogy,
it's
and
Star Wars.
it's because the prequel trilogy.
Because it's
And
Star Wars.
also, why they didn't give it a chance is what I'm saying. Like back in the day, the Filoni cartoon at first.
Made
Hold
6
on,
seasons.
no, hold on. Let's not mince words here. Either Clone Wars was sustainable because George willed it to be,
Mhm.
and
That's fair.
and I'm not saying it did okay. It didn't light the world on fire. I trust me. I remember did not light the world on fire, but George had a vision and had whatever and kept it going, and then it got fire, and then it got et cetera, et cetera. But again, I digress. That's not the point. My point is this: is that George had over time the writers, and then all these groups have a writer. Kathleen Kennedy is just grabbing things out of nowhere without context and being like, make this movie, make this. And when it's like, it's not cohesive to a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, or not problem, when you look at something right now, you brought up earlier, Safran and Gunn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it remains to be seen if DC Studios will be successful.
Right.
But the way they're going about it right now, and Gunn has even referenced Star Wars because he's trying to get it all under one banner. He's trying to get the video games and the cartoons and everything to be under the DC Studios banner and have it all be cohesive. And that Star Wars, he mentioned Star Wars. What I think is brilliant, what he's doing. One, Gunn, I think DC Studios, if it's successful, Tyler, I think is the blueprint for what Star Wars has to be, because it's emulating what George did with Clone Wars and what they're doing with High Republic, in a sense of like, they have a cohesive head.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is, and everything goes beneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And even Mangold is going under and writing for Swamp Thing.
Right.
Okay. Under a banner of James Gunn, who is over him. And yes, he's made movies. He has, but like James Gunn does not make the same kind of movies Mangold has tries to make, right? Like that's just reality.
He's made some killer movies.
But the thing is, the main thing here is it's a cohesive vision, right? And Mangold loves Swamp Thing. It's the only reason why I think
the vision thing. I understand. Like I understand. We need Star Wars needs vision. Star Wars needs direction. That's why I, have agreed with you that I'm ready for a switch. They need a new voice. They need new direction and leadership. Where I push back on this whole, this is where Star Wars, this is what Star Wars needs. Star Wars has never, ever consistently released things in a row that the fan base universally galvanized around. The Force Awakens came out, and for the most part, everyone loved The Force Awakens. It lit the world on fire. Last Jedi comes out, boom, immediately, controversial. Original Star Wars New Hope comes out, and initial things after Empire are, what is this? How many people in 1983 were raving about Ewoks? There was a lot that happened. Phantom Menace comes out, like you said, they drug it up as they went with Revenge of the Sith going on a high note. People didn't like Clone Wars when it came out. People, shat on Rebels when Rebels first came out, and there's some great stuff in Rebels, and now it's, for the most part,
it didn't get shat on as much as you think. It wasn't shat on that much. It just wasn't. It just didn't light the world on fire.
Yeah. And so here we are again. I just think there's Star Wars, like most projects, they're going to hit and miss, but after a certain period of time, people are going to come around on what it is. I personally, in terms of this whole vision argument, where they go from here needs to be that united front. Like we need to have a very clear idea of what the future of Star Wars is, which is why I'm really excited that Kathleen Kennedy came out and talked specifically about, Ryan Gosling's movie that he's going to star in here with Sean Levy. Sean Levy's movie, 5 to 6 years after The Rise of Skywalker. This is going to be a standalone movie that takes place in the future. And Simon Kinberg's trilogy is going to be the first iteration of a new saga story. Are you okay over there? Are you okay over there?
My mic went haywire, so I missed a lot of what.
Okay, sorry. No, there's basically, I said that with the whole vision thing, I think we're moving towards that because Sean Levy's movie, 5 years, 6 years after Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
I think they
good.
And then Simon Kinberg, very surprised that we're getting a script for this by this summer. was what she said. I was very surprised that they're moving forward that quickly, which seems to me that they know what the outline for that trilogy is, and that this is going to
Yep.
be a script for the first movie. And I would assume if they're launching Sean Levy's movie in the future as well, that these things are going to, it's going to be a standalone, but there's going to be things from this movie that are going to feed into the next
Yeah.
iteration of the new saga. So it seems like that vision is there and the groundwork has been laid for the people that take over after, which I'm assuming Filoni, Carrie Beck, their promotions came very, the timing speaks volumes. So,
Yep.
which we've talked about before. So I think that's a great idea. My whole thing is Star Wars has always been the vitriol around everything has existed from the beginning. It's kind of what
Yeah.
we do. It's kind of what Star Wars fans do. But let's talk about that movie news that she did drop. I was stunned that she went forward and just went ahead and said, "Yep, Sean Levy's movie comes in. It's going to start production this summer or in the fall, the summer, and that's the next movie that's going to take place." She dropped the time period that it's going to happen in 5-6 years after. She said all new characters with the chance of some returning sequel characters, and then she went ahead
Interesting.
and that one I was pretty surprised at. I was stunned that she even said, "Yeah," and Simon Kingberg, that trilogy is happening. He's gonna deliver us that draft here in June for the first movie, which means they definitely have the outline. So she did not have to do all of that. She could have come in, had her interview, talked mostly about, we have Mando and Grogu that comes out in theaters next year. We have talks with Sean Levy about getting his movie up and going, and we
Yeah.
have Andor that comes out here in 2 months. She could have just stuck with that and moved on, but she chose to just say, "Hey, this is the
It was
future of Star
chaos.
Wars," and really do this. So where are you with these movie announcements or movie news? Because we knew about like these projects.
Right. Yeah. We got the Ryan Gosling thing, was felt very odd. It still feels kind of weird that we're gonna get Sean Levy is like, I never saw
I'm
Free
so
Guy.
excited.
I never saw Free Guy. I've heard it's good. I love Deadpool Wolverine, but I mean, I feel like you have to really be a crappy director to mess that up. He did well, obviously. I love Gosling. I mean, freaking a phenomenal
So,
actor. I
so
mean,
excited.
2049. Come on, enough
Oh,
said.
I really hope
Masterpiece.
he's at Celebration. I really hope.
I wouldn't be shocked if he is,
Mhm.
or I wouldn't be shocked if he was.
I think Levy's gonna be there now.
Well, here's the thing with all the movie news. First of all, we talked about it before. Kathleen Kennedy had to get her SH in order,
Mhm,
and the fact, and that's why I said when they hired Kimberg, I knew they were like, this thing is going to be rocking and rolling fast. That's why
mhm,
I kept saying it could be the Ray movie, because I'm
mhm,
like, they don't bring this guy on just to like develop things for like 2 years. Like Kathleen Kennedy has to get theatrical releases, because there's a couple things. The reason why she got on here and announced all these things because she needs to protect herself and her reputation, essentially,
mhm,
right? Like it's like I have to, like, my reputation on the line is, if I retire before the end of the year and I've only have like one more movie out, no,
mhm,
I need to get like 3 movies in the works
mhm.
for my bosses and for my, I think, to be honest, her own pride, right? So
Right.
anyway, which again, that's not
She
I'm
also
not saying
wants to go out on a high note and be like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I left everything
I'm
going in a
not,
good
and I'm
direction."
not, and I'm not. That's not a knock on her by any means. I think
Right,
anyone would want to be like, I'm going out like on top, because
right.
I'm going to have a phenomenal, when I leave, a Sean Levy movie with Ryan Gosling is going to be made. I mean, that's going to make some money regardless. Let's be
Mhm.
real. Gosling, Levy, Star Wars, it's going to happen, right? So
Because you have Mando and Grogu is
yeah, it's going to
gonna be
print.
there, but that one's gonna feel bigger because it's not going to be a contained story from like a Disney Plus show. This is
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
boom. Like that's
So
gonna be big budget,
yeah,
everything. The
and that's why
works.
I'm saying, that's why I keep saying, like, is that Ray movie going to happen? Because if I mean, they're having script
It's
issues
gonna
with,
happen.
save it. We'll save it for the next episode. But just hear me out. The fact that you've got the new saga, which that to me was like the biggest like
Mhm.
because I was on the one saying, give me episode 10, 11, 12.
Mhm.
And I I will she didn't say episode 10, which I think is also telling. But the fact that she says it's the new saga is
Mhm.
very exciting
Mhm.
because I think what if it's not 10, 11, 12, it's the new like continuation, right? Which we already kind of got some familiar, some,
Right.
you know, but the fact that it's not just like well, it's a new movie. Like they're going out saying, no, this is a trilogy. When she says saga, it's either going to be it's obviously going to be more than one film, and
Mhm.
I mean it's probably
It's a
three.
trilogy.
Exactly. So when you say
It's
trilogy,
trilogy. It's we're gonna build off of, yes, we have the Skywalker saga, and we are going to build off of the Skywalker saga and launch ourselves into a
to a
brand
new
new
what
adventure, clean slates, but everything that's happened before is going to be
it's
paramount
it's
towards
the
everything. It's
yeah
still going to connect. It's the story of Star Wars.
it's but I think the best thing about it is, and I think they could go either way on it, right? Like I've gone on nauseum about I want it to be a Skywalker saga
Mhm.
still, but let's make the Skywalkers not blood, but let's make them something different,
Right.
right? Okay, I don't want to get into that,
Mhm.
but I will say that regardless, the fact that I do like the fact that they're gonna make it a continuation. Like let's make it like if that was the Skywalker saga, right?
Mhm.
What's this new saga called? So they could call it the
The
okay.
saga continues.
I would love it, right? No, but like you know what I mean? Like they could call it X-Wings on Ice. I don't know, like whatever, like that saga, right? Like just go with me. It could tell me whatever that saga is going to be called. You can call it something different, and you can
Mhm.
still have it be episode 10,
Mhm.
11, and 12, and have it that fun kind of that fun thing for it. But now you have it out for saying this is now a new saga, but the episodes keep because it's like an arc, right? It's
Mhm.
like a comic book, which it makes it really fun for me. So like you could have it be episode 10, but it's the episode 9 is still the end of the Skywalker saga. Now it's a new saga of like X-Wings on Ice saga,
Mhm.
right? You know what I mean? That could be
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it could be only 3 movies. It
Mhm.
could be 6 movies. It could be 20 movies. I don't know whatever that saga is, like in a comic story, that
Mhm.
saga ends, but the volume number or the issue number keep going up, but
Mhm.
the contained stories keep being in that one saga.
Right.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
for instance,
No,
like
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Maximum Carnage, right? Maximum Carnage saga streamed like multiple issues for Spider-Man.
Mhm.
And but the issue numbers kept going up, but it was Maximum
Right.
Carnage part 1, part 2.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. So you keep the episode numbers going for fans of the saga and kept have that fun aspect of it. But
Mhm.
now you have a new saga that
Mhm.
is going to be central to the main Star Wars mythos.
Mhm.
That is a God, I keep doing that. That is just brilliant. And I
Mhm.
think, and I would love for it to be Skywalker Saga still, but I've now made peace with that, and
Mhm.
I
It's gonna
love.
be something brand new.
Yeah, give me
It's
something
gonna be
brand
brand new.
new. But what they have to do, first of all,
I think they've learned from mistakes. It's very clear that they have a trilogy outlined. I'm not saying they know exactly how everything with the story is gonna go, but if he's submitting the draft for this movie, it was pitched as a trilogy, and he's got these 3 films. I imagine there are, hey, these are the main points that we want to hit. This is the story that we want to tell and where we want to get to with, a few characters that they have
and they'll
some ideas.
deviate
And they'll
depending
they'll
on
deviate.
reception.
But I think they have the bullet points of how
Yeah,
they
they have
want to
to.
tell the story,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's something that they've learned from because there wasn't, it with the sequel trilogy. I love a lot of the sequel
Me too.
trilogy,
I
but
love it
of
too.
course there's a lot of throwing darts here, like, okay, now we're gonna do this now. We weren't sure what we want to do next, so let's go this direction. It seems like now they know the direction that they want to go. They have a semblance of where this thing is going for the next 5 to 10 years in Star Wars.
I wouldn't be shocked if this was Kathleen Kennedy's like, because I feel she wants to go on a high note. I feel like the Kinberg thing, the new saga, is kind of her like not swan song. It's not she won't be around to see it necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
From as an
She
executive.
wants that maybe to be her legacy, like leaving. Like I launched Star Wars
I
into a new
launched.
saga, like new era.
You like, and she won't say it publicly, but she would say they could say I did a sequel trilogy and all this stuff, but looking back, the new saga will be like, I did that. I got Kinberg, because I think Kinberg is a capable writer. I think he's a capable like producer.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be real here too, y'all. When she leaves, it's not like she steps down as executive of Luke, or the top, head or chief of Lucasfilm. She ain't going to be not producing those movies.
No, she's producing them. When it was announced, she's going to be a producer. She said in that interview, I'm going to be a producer on those. She's producing the Sean Levy movie. Like she's going to stay on, and I think that's what I am most looking forward to about the change, is that we're still going to have her in her bread and butter, her wheelhouse, and
Well said.
we might have some people that are able to handle, the other side of things that the company needs in terms of direction. My only thing with Filoni that I worry about is I really think that Filoni is, he's the Padawan to George Lucas. He is the closest thing we have to George that is there, and I want him making Star Wars, being involved in those creative discussions. I don't want Dave Filoni getting bogged down by the more executive side of the role, which
that's not what she's. But that's my whole point earlier, though, Tyler.
That's what a president. But she is involved in a lot of those things.
No, she's not. No,
yes, she is.
She, bro,
100% is.
She might be in some things, sure, but as a traditional president, there's no way. I know that for like, dude. I know that. Like, she's a producer.
Yes.
Hold on. There's no way a president can be a producer and still be a president. That's impossible.
But you can't also tell me that James Gunn, even though he is in the creative side of being the president of whatever, that there are people worried about like him, he's doing like Superman and everything. Like, is he stretching himself too thin by trying to do all of these different things? That's something that's going to, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, right. Okay, hold on. But let me just say this. This is why I said DC could be the blueprint for how they do things, because James Gunn is solely focused on the creative aspect. That's all that is his main job. And he comments and he brilliantly is constantly in social media and always giving us fun things. He's not holding things back as much as he can. He's honest. He is the exact opposite of what Lucasfilm has been like. And it's so amazing. I love it. Now, and that's what I'm saying. It remains to be seen if James Gunn's role and what he does. I mean, obviously he makes some business decisions. But the thing is, that role is what Filoni should be in.
I agree.
And that's what I'm saying. And we have no idea if what this role, and to be honest, a combined role with Carrie Beck and him leading Lucasfilm together, that honestly would excite me. Because I think Carrie Beck is kind of like what Kathleen Kennedy has been for Star Wars, and she's been on a smaller scale, and her track record has been pretty good, And I think that she's worked her way up. Obviously, you've got Filoni, who's worked his way up. He knows how film's made now. He knows how to make shows. He knows how to make Star Wars, which is the biggest thing. And I think he should be in charge of Star Wars, because here's the thing: you listen to those quotes, man. What does he say? I don't want to tell people how to write Star Wars. I just give them direction. That's what George did. And that's the thing about it, is like, we need Filoni in here. He's not going to be, that's why I said, like, if Mangold's smart, he listens to him, because he's not going to tell Mangold, you need to listen to me. Like, that's not Filoni's character. And I think that's the thing that we have to remember. And that's if Filoni's even chosen for this.
He's going to be chosen. It's
I agree. I think it should, and I think he has to be, because we need our George Lucas back. We need a George Lucas running Star Wars. When I say running Star Wars, I mean like full on in
Hmm.
charge
Hmm.
because without it, we see the mixed result. Now we know George was mixed too, and Filoni's not going to be batting 1,000.
What I'm most interested to see is how this is going to affect like the Disney Plus side, because we're talking about films. We have this outline for the future after the Rise of Skywalker. I am very curious to see what the future of Star Wars streaming looks like
I
outside
know
of
what it looks
animation.
like.
Animation's going to be fine, but we have Ahsoka. You have Ahsoka season 2, but they have nothing that they have announced, and I'm sure they have ideas that they're
Well,
holding
they have
close to the
Lando,
vest, but which is supposedly gonna be a movie now. Like that thing's done. Like that we're never seeing that. Like that
just like
thing's
the
done.
Ray movie, though.
Well, the Ray movie's happening.
Bro, I'm just saying,
Not
you could,
happening.
if they're in this, they are in the same exact boat.
No,
No
they're not.
said.
Not
Yes,
even
they
close.
are. Yes, they are,
Not
dude.
even
So
close.
his
They
brother's
have
working on the script right
he's
now. His brother's working on
no,
the
yeah,
script right now.
he's working on the
Yeah, just
script.
like they're found another writer.
No, they've announced that who the writer is. Stephen Knight even said that most of his stuff's going to be in that movie. George Nolfi's come out. Daisy's talking about it. They're not gonna. There's a big difference between Donald Glover randomly saying something about, oh yeah, I'm working on Lando, versus Daisy Ridley saying this movie is going to happen,
I'm
when like Donald Glover and Lando aren't even the same stratosphere as Daisy Ridley and Ray when it comes to what importance to Star Wars. The Ray
all
movie is going to happen.
okay. I agree with you for the most part, but I think you're also underestimating the Lando thing because they're
It's
both
done.
because they're both
No.
they're hold on they're both in
Mhm.
development hell right now, and that is something you cannot deny. Because and I think
Yes.
if Ray movie was so on track, they'd be making that movie right now. But
I didn't
they're
say it
not.
was on track. I didn't say it was on track. I just said it's going to happen. Now, whether Charmino Bay Shinoy is going to still be the director now that Kathleen's stepping out, I have no idea. Could they evolve this Ray movie somehow? Is this part of what's happening with Kimberg? I don't know what that future is. I just if
So
there's any movie that's going outside of Sean Levy's movie that I'm sure is going to get made, it's going to be the Ray movie. They have too
and
much at
I
stake
actually,
there.
you know what? I agree with you because I don't think Mangold's making Dawn. I think it's toast. I
We'll
think
see.
it's toast. I could be wrong, but I think it's toast. I
We'll
think
see.
the way everything is
Mhm.
handled and the way he's handled himself has been always been weird. I mean, for God's sakes, he leaked the Boba Fett thing pretty much. Like back in the day when like Solo came out and like they're like and they had the poor success over the weekend, the initial weekend. Uh all of a sudden, like the Hollywood Reporter is reporting that Mangold's is in line to direct a Boba Fett movie. It's like, huh? I wonder who leaked that one. It's like Mangold's like, no, I'm gonna make Boba Fett, guys. Me, Mangold. I'm money. It's like,
Where is this hatred for James
it's because
Mangold
his
come from?
attitude sucks. I just listen to his attitude. It's like, well, I'm gonna make this thing from scratch. It's like, no, you're gonna be borrowing from all the things that the Double D's did before. Don't act like you're some savior of like, I have this grand idea. It's like, shut up. I don't know. I don't know. If I ever met Mangold, we'd probably be buddies because we both love Johnny Cash, whatever. But like, and listen, I'm Bob Dylan influenced me more than you know in my early 20s. Like, freaking love early Dylan, and
Did you like Complete Unknown?
I never saw it, and
Oh, you didn't see it.
I can't see it because
Chalamet's
Mangold and
awesome.
Chalamet's like, I want to
You
be one of the
don't
great
like
ones.
Chalamet?
I love
Oh
listen,
my
he's a great
gosh.
actor,
That
but
speech was
he's too
awesome.
much. Like he's just too much about artsy fartsy kid, like pretending he's like, or he's trying to be artsy fartsy when he's not. He's a big
He grew up a theater kid.
he can fake it because he comes off like a big idiot in my opinion. Like,
No, stop. He grew up a theater kid. Dudes can also go on college game day and throw him down with the boys with his stats. Like the
yeah,
dude loves
listen.
basketball. He's showing up in
If
Knicks
you're an
games.
artist, Tyler,
He's a
if you're an
star.
artist, you don't. If you're a true artist, right? If you're an
Mhm.
artist, you don't go on an award show and go, I want to be one of the greats. No, you just be great. You
I
just
dis
do it.
I
You don't,
disagree though. I disagree.
bro.
There's plenty of greats in any
Artist,
profession
artist.
that
I'm talking about artists, not sports
Mhm.
people, not sports. I'm talking artist because
there's
sports. is not like an art. Sports is an art in an extent to an extent, but being an artist and you're being creative, a creative, that's what I'm saying. That is completely different. And you
But
cannot, to me, the greats don't
everyone
ever talk about being great. They just make
But then
art.
that's what makes Chalamet great is he tells you exactly what he's focused on. He tells you exactly what he's thinking. He wants to be but he said we are in a subjective, industry, that we are artists that are in a subjective industry, and that greatness is not something that is a one size fits all, but he is in the pursuit of greatness. And he mentioned, like, I mean, he's a sports guy too. Like, he's a sports guy too. And he mentioned, like, he wants to be mentioned the same vein as Viola Davis, others that they mentioned as Michael Phelps, Michael Jordan. There is a level of with
He's wrong.
Chalamet, he
He's
is
wrong.
the no, he is the movie star of the future. He is the
I would agree with that,
100%
but he's
the movie star of the future. He's 28 years old. He is.
he is a movie star. I mean, he is a movie star. But here's we're getting sidetracked. We gotta wrap up. But let me.
I could talk about Chalamet
I could
for
too. Listen, I
hours.
love Dune 1 and
My
2. I'm a
goodness,
huge Dune
my
fan. Like,
God.
I love Dune. Like, he's a great actor. Chalamet is he's the jock in high school who thinks he's artsy because he listened to My Bloody Valentine once, and then he also watched a Terrence Malick movie once, and he's like, I know art. It's like, shut the hell up. You don't know art. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, when
Anyway,
he wins Best Actor and drops the
no,
mic on
it's
the
fine.
stage
He
someday,
can
I'm
win
ready
Best
for it.
Actor. I don't care about awards. Awards are dumb. Like, they're just
Oh,
stupid.
stop.
Everything. Listen, I love sports, but art art with a capital A is not, should never,
Right.
in my opinion, be regarded as a competition like the award ceremonies do. And
That's fair.
that's why George thought the Academy Awards were a joke. They've been a joke. And I stopped caring about the awards like 20 years ago. Like, it's a
That's fair.
joke. Sorry.
That's
I
fair.
don't need awards to validate art, because if I
Mhm.
love it, that's all that matters. And
That's fair.
if a bunch of people love it, like they loved, like, for the
Go
Academy
for it.
Awards gave A Beautiful Mind the best picture over Fellowship of the Ring. Enough said. Enough said. Fellowship of the Ring is like one of the best movies ever made.
Mhm.
There's one bad part in that movie. There's one. When Gladriel goes blah, like, it gets weird. It looks terrible.
It's not like, though, like, the movie didn't win other things, and Return of the King didn't go
Because
make
Return of the
history as
King
the
was
greatest
an
thing.
apology.
Well, Return of the King is the greatest movie, like, ever
It's
made.
not. Fellowship of the Ring is the best movie out of those three. I love all three of those
Oh,
movies.
no, it's
Fellowship of the Ring
not.
is like,
Oh my
that is
gosh.
anyway, we're going to sidetrack. I gotta end I just gotta end it on here. I just gotta end it
Okay.
on this. Okay.
Okay.
I just think that going back to Filoni
Mhm.
and everything, I do trust that regardless of, what happens, and because
Mhm.
no one can be perfect, no one's gonna make brilliant moves all the time,
Of
but
course.
I have a lot of faith that Star Wars as a brand, whether or not it is, whether or not this to show that they're financially successful enough for, like,
But it's mhm.
yeah, I would say that I do think that as a brand, Star Wars will be protected way better
Mhm.
with Filoni at the helm. And to
Mhm.
me, the legacy and the long-term effects that Filoni would do are going to have better dividends than
Mhm.
Kathleen Kennedy will ever do.
Oh, that's fair. I think a year and a half from now, obviously this is complete conjecture, projection. I think a year and a half from now, Star Wars is going to be in an amazing place. And that's a big statement considering where Star Wars is right now, probably, and where it's been over the last 12 months. But I think a year and a half from now, universally across the fandom, people are going to be really excited. I think that there's going to be a lot of good faith built in, just because I think Mando and Grogu is going to be a success, and
I
we'll have
agree.
another Star Wars movie that's wrapped up filming, that we will have like a teaser for some sort of little trailer for with Ryan Gosling, Sean Levy, and there's going to be just buzz around the new trilogy in the air as well. So I think that there is, and we'll see with the Ray stuff, but I think there's a lot to be excited for. In a year and a half from now, we're going to be sitting back going like maybe Star Wars is back to where it should be. And I personally am fine with these long waits in between movies
I
if they
agree.
get it right. Like I would much rather them get it right with Mando Grogu and Sean Levy's movie afterwards than them have put out a half baked Rogue Squadron film a year and a half ago. So
Word to that.
so Paul, another great monthly roundup,
Another great
monthly
round.
month
Yeah.
in review for February, which was a jam-packed month. March, who knows what March is going to have in store for us. They'll probably have some build up with some more Andor
We're
stuff,
we're
but
we're gonna have Ray movie to debate about when we
I
get up next because we haven't
I
really
can't wait.
talked about that.
We haven't.
We,
But
we're gonna
the
have
best part about a Ray movie discussion with the two of us is we are both massive Ray
yeah,
fans,
we love Ray.
which
So I mean, yeah,
so my favorite, probably top 5 favorite character for me easily.
not quite there for me, but I mean, I love her to death. But I mean, like
Mhm,
a top favorite Star Wars character is a big hurdle to jump, you know. But
that's fair.
she's definitely me. I definitely
Mhm.
say the top 10 for sure for
Yep.
me.
So that'll be fun. We'll have to go there next time. Thanks for hopping on. Go ahead, tell us where we can find you, what you are up to.
Yeah. So you can find me on the YouTubes of the Comic Binge, where you can see below here, right there. We just did we're doing right now, we're doing a monthly review of big Superman stories that are leading up to James Gunn's DC Studios Superman film. And
I'm
we're on
hyped.
6 episodes already. And next month we're doing Death of Superman, which would be a lot of fun. We've done reviews for Skeleton Crew and Star Wars comics to kind of connect everything together. So yeah, if you love comic books, please go check out the Comic Binge and go follow me on Twitter, now called yeah, I don't want to call it, but you know where Twitter is. Go follow me on there at Herman22 with 2 N's, aka P Thug, and also go check me out on Blue Sky, which I love Blue Sky now. It's way calmer, old school Twitter in my opinion. Go check me out on there. I love it there. But I post on both because I can't leave my other homies on Twitter behind because
Mhm.
I'm just loyal like that. So, but go if you like Blue Sky, go check me out there. I'm under the Comic Binge. Go look under P Thug. I'm under there. So yeah, lots of exciting things to talk about in the future, Tyler.
I can't wait for outside of Mission Impossible. That's probably the movie I'm most excited for right
Same.
now is Superman. I love Superman. So I it's still bitter that we never got the true Man of Steel sequel that I
I
think we
agree.
all wanted
I
after
love
that.
Man of Steel. I love it.
Mhm. So Paul, we'll see you next time, everyone. For Light and Life, remember, we are all the Republic out here for now, I guess.